welcome back to the Fallon Frequency Podcast, your space for that alignment and expansion and unstoppable energy. I am your host and mindset mentor, Fallon, and I am genuinely so excited to have you here today. Today, we're going to be diving into something that every single one of us knows very intimately, and that, my friends, is self-doubt. As always, what we're going to be doing today is flipping the script and changing the conversation that we have around self-doubt. Because self-doubt is not actually the problem. It's the portal. It's not a flaw. It's not a weakness. It's actually a signal to you. It's a sign that you're not lost and you're not broken. You're standing at the edge of your next massive upgrade. So to really start things off, we are going to dive into the root of doubt. We are going to then jump into some universal laws, because you know that I love universal laws. And then we're going to really concrete and change that conversation that we have around self-doubt. So getting to the root of doubt, reframing this through our identity through our subconscious and our energetics. So first, we're going to normalize it. Self-doubt, like I said, is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you are expanding beyond your current self-concept. So it really tends to surface, when we've either outgrown an old identity, but we haven't fully stepped into that new one yet, or we're creating from a higher timeline and our nervous system hasn't had time to calibrate. Or, if we're conditioned to really play it safe, to stay small, to people please, to avoid being too much, self-doubt will creep in. So what is really happening when it is kicking in? Your subconscious mind is scanning for what's familiar. It's really not trying to sabotage you. It's trying to protect you. And it's coming from a good place. Like I said, your subconscious mind is always trying to keep you safe. So it really wants to stay in that comfort and not in a growth path, When your next level vision or your upgraded self isn't matching that old programming that you have, the alarm bells will go off. Subconscious mind is going to be like, danger, or like, do not pass go. Do not go to the other side. Don't do the thing. It's going to be warning you constantly. It's begging you to play safe. Not because you're weak, but because your inner system thinks sameness equals safety. Like by staying the same, by staying in the familiar, by staying what I know, I'm safe. But the real magic isn't going to happen until we get into, the uncomfortable bits, get past that comfort zone. So we really have to pause and we have to become aware. Self-doubt is fear in disguise. So many of these different things that come up for us are actually just fear in disguise. But when we have that awareness, we really unlock the codes on how to change them. So here's a good way to think about it. You may have like a lot of people would have explained this. You've probably heard this version before, but really, really great analogy is thinking of the seed growing under the surface. If you imagine that you've, planted a seed in the ground and you can't see it, but under the soil, you know that it's pushing through the earth, it's struggling in the darkness, it's feeling resistance. There's so much going on inside that little seed. And the seed might doubt that it's ever going to break through, but the struggle is the very thing that keeps pushing it and making it grow stronger. So if you think of self-doubt, like the pressure that the seed is feeling as it's growing, it's uncomfortable, but it's the energy that's building you up to eventually sprout to the surface. If you gave up in the soil stage, if you never reached for the light, you're never going to get further than where you are. You're just going to stay a little seed in the ground. But by pushing through it, you're emerging into something new, something bigger, something stronger. So the next time you are feeling that doubt, I want you to think of the seed in the soil and try to think of your doubt as an expansion and your doubt as energy that you're not familiar with, that you're going to utilize. So you're not failing, you're actually growing. For myself, like I said, we've all experienced self-doubt quite intimately. And I 100% have, experienced it many times on my journey, and it still definitely comes to my mind every so often. But the difference now that I have is I don't ever let it get too loud or too final. Too final meaning it never runs the show for me. It doesn't make the decision for me. When I first went out on my own, I was never doubting the vision I had for myself, but I was doubting, like, could I do it? Can I do the thing? I had only known normal jobs and structures and external validation. So stepping into full ownership and leaping into something else without a safety net was scary. 100% there was self-doubt. It's kind of like that moment that so many people face when you quit the job, or you try to launch a new offer, or you make some crazy big bold move, and you feel fucking amazing when you make the move, but then right afterwards there's this sudden panic. And it's like, fuck, like, what did I just do? Am I crazy? What just happened? But that freak out moment isn't failure, it's feedback. So if your nervous system, it's like thinking of your nervous system catching up to your frequency. When you made that big bold move, that was expansive energy. That's what brought you to make a crazy big decision. So the key is to really return back to the expansive energy that guided you to make that move in the first place. That is where the truth is going to live. It's not in this noise of uncertainty. It's not in the echo of your past. So doubt wasn't a stop sign. It was a mirror. It's asking you, are you actually ready to receive what it is, you say you want? And to really unpack why doubt isn't your enemy and how to really work with it, I want to bring in some universal laws. Universal laws are running the show here. And those are the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. It's a mouthful. And the law of polarity and the law of cause and effect. So let's go ahead and jump in. Once you really do understand these laws and really just let it sink in, your entire inner and outer world are going to begin to shift. You're going to stop reacting to your life and you're really going to start creating it. And this is why I bring in universal laws all the damn time. So let's go ahead and break it down and transcend self-doubt in real time here. So law number 1, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. Energy is always moving. You're either transmuting it upwards or being pulled by it downwards, okay? So this law is teaching us that energy is never static. It's always in motion. And here's the kicker. You get to decide where it goes, okay? So what does that mean? The moment that you're feeling some doubt or some fear or imposter syndrome, you're actually holding raw material. You're standing at a crossroads. That energy that you've got in your hands, you can actually alchemize it. You don't have to wait to feel better. You just have to choose again. So the second that you choose to speak a new truth, even if your voice is shaky about it, that old energy is going to begin to dissolve. So when you feel doubt, but you're choosing to lean into trust anyways, it's not that you're ignoring reality. You're actually rewriting your energetic code. So what you're saying is, this doubt is just energy and I get to decide what it becomes next. This is not just some cute language. It is literally energetic mastery. So feeding off of that, the next epic law I want to dive into is the law of polarity. So if doubt exists, so does certainty. If fear is present, so is faith. This law reminds us that opposites are always available in equal measure. So the moment that you feel doubt, the frequency of clarity is also present. The question is, which one are you choosing to feed? I'm going to repeat that. The moment that you're feeling doubt, the frequency of clarity is also present. The question is, which one are you choosing to feed? So your job isn't to erase the doubt. It's to locate the truth on the other side of it. Think of doubt as like a doorway, not a dead end. So when it shows up, I want you to ask yourself, I want you to become super, super self-aware. What is this really showing me? What am I actually afraid of? And what truth do I know deep down? Because if you don't examine the doubt, if you don't point it out, if you aren't aware of your self-doubt, you can't rewire it. And if you can't rewire it, it will return. And it's going to return louder the next time. I promise you that. Everyone experiences self-doubt. It's what we do with that self-doubt that matters. So doubt's opposite is actually trust, meaning its antidote is faith in motion. Not perfect motion, just moment. When we've got doubt around something, it's like a fucking green flag to go take action. So really cementing it for you, we're going to go ahead and jump into our third law. And that is the law of cause and effect. I've spoke about this one on another episode, but I'm going to show you how to use it with self-doubt so that we can really cement this in and really not let self-doubt get too loud as we continue to up-level and upgrade and shift timelines. Okay, so every thought, every action or belief is creating a ripple, meaning you're not a victim to your circumstances. You're actually the cause of them. That's so powerful and so often misunderstood. We are taught to believe that things happen to us, not for us. And this law is telling us that nothing just fucking happens. You literally are the initiator, which is so empowering. We are not coming from a place of lack. We are coming from an expansive place where this is an empowering thing. The fact that we created our own reality means we can change it. So if you think of a lake and you throw a stone in the lake, it's a still lake. And what happens when you throw that stone in the lake? There's an automatic ripple effect that ripples out throughout the lake, right? From where the stone dropped in. So if you think of the drop as like a thought or your trust or your worthiness around shifting the field around you, and you let that ripple out, okay? Same goes for negative. If you're thinking negative thoughts, those are going to ripple out. Doubt really does want to keep you stuck in a loop. It wants to tell you like, oh, you're behind, or I'm just not ready yet, or what if I can't do it? Oh, I don't know how. Maybe I need to take another course on it. It's going to come up in so many different forms. We've all experienced. It's a matter of what we're going to do with that awareness around this thought that's creeping in. These stories that we're telling ourselves are comfortable. They're very, very familiar, and they're known. The future version of you, she isn't known. She's uncertain. She's unpredictable. If she was known, you'd be her by now. That might be a hard truth for you to swallow. Like if you had all the answers to your next level self, you would be vibrating at that version. And your subconscious doesn't know her yet, so it is afraid. It wants to stay familiar. So it's clinging to the present self like a lifeline. It is clinging to who you currently are like a lifeline because it's sameness. Sameness equals safety when it comes to the subconscious mind. But if you really do want new effects, new results, a new income, new outcomes, a different embodied version of yourself, you must shift the cause, which are your thoughts, your emotions, and your identity, okay? You are not at the mercy of your thoughts. You are the creator of them. Like I said, this is super empowering to know that you are the initiator of everything that has happened in your life thus far, meaning you can initiate what is going to happen in your future, okay? So you can uncreate whatever is not serving you. You can plant new seeds daily, seeds of trust, seeds of certainty, seeds of courage. Those ripple effects will take root. And it might feel like you are walking into the unknown because you are. But to me, it's like, what is scarier than the unknown? Staying stuck in a loop that was never meant for you. If you are not living your most up-leveled, fulfilled, best-leveled life of, version of you and reality that you want to be in, then what are you doing? I want you to sit with that for a moment. It's scarier not to do the work than to stay stuck in your current reality, in my opinion, obviously. So we're gonna completely change the conversation here. We talked about different laws now. We know that we've got to become aware. So to wrap this episode up with something really real, some rawness and practicality, so you can really apply this and bring this home. Because it's one thing to really kind of understand these universal laws, but to live them is completely different. So how do we actually rewire our self-doubt when it creeps in? Because it will creep in. And the fact that we know it's going to creep in, we already have more awareness that it's coming. So if I take you back a few years ago, I actually used to be a coach surf. And I'd watch people, and I found it so interesting, like total beginners, they'd come in and they'd be absolutely paralyzed before they even touched the board. Like they were just so traumatized. And it would, so many self-doubt excuses would come up, like, oh, I don't have any balance. I don't know how athletic I am. What if I wipe out? Oh, I don't know if this is for me. It was like they didn't even want to give it a try. And what I could see so clearly, that the only thing really standing in the way between them and that first epic wave that they were going to catch wasn't their ability. It wasn't their, how physically fit they were. It wasn't the ocean. It was the conversation that they were having in their head. So I would totally encourage them. I would switch the narrative that was going on in their head. You've got this, I'll be there, we're going in, let's do it, and just completely flipped it for them so that doubt didn't have time to kind of sit there and let them spiral into a whole nother negative pathway. And by not letting them overthink it, I'd take them out. We'd take action right away. We'd get in the water. We'd get on our feet. And you know what would happen? The doubt, the one that felt so freaking loud to them and so real, would disappear. Why would this doubt disappear? Because action is always louder than fear. Action is always louder than fear. Movement dissolves the mental noise. So that first wave might have been messy for them, but it was theirs. And what does that do? That helps to build confidence, okay? So once they felt it, once they tasted the truth of what was actually possible by doing action, by doing the thing, they were hooked, obviously. I mean, who doesn't love surfing? But confidence, began to replace their narrative. It took a new voice for them in their head. So here's really how we're going to change that inner conversation that all of us have. We're going to observe it. I talk about awareness all the time because this is key in so many limiting beliefs, old stories, self-doubts that we all have. And you want to look at it as like, doubt is not a story. It's a story, sorry. It's not a fact. It's not written in stone that you have doubt and you're not going to make it. It's an old recording, okay? It's not your reality. So if we take on that belief that it's an old recording, it's not your reality, what do we have to do then? We have to shift it. We have to replace it with something better, or else it will creep back in. So what would my future self believe right now? Or the version of you who's already done the thing, what is that person going to say when this particular doubt can't do it? For example, the self-doubt of like, I don't know if I can do it. It's like, no, I fucking can do it, and I will do it, and I'm going to learn along the way. And then you're going to anchor it in, because doubt means you are expanding and you're going to lead anyways. So fear is really only showing up when we're stretching. Okay. It is actually a really great sign. It's not a stop sign. It is proof that you're on the brink of something new. When fear creeps in, that means we're challenging ourselves. When fear creeps in, that means we are stepping into the unknown. We are stepping out of our comfort zone. Fear is actually a good thing when we know how to use it. So I want you to know, you're not here to live inside the limits of your old thinking. You're not here to play small or to protect a version of yourself that you've already outgrown. You've already outgrown that version of yourself. You've definitely already outgrown that version of yourself, because that is why you're listening. You're here to step into it. You're going to be messy. You're going to be raw. You're going to make mistakes, but you're going to fucking do it anyways. The truth is, you do not have to be fearless. Nobody's actually fearless. They just take action. You have to basically be more committed to the vision that you see for yourself than the voice that's inside your head. So I want to let fear be there, but I don't want to let it drive, okay? We're going to let courage speak louder, and we're going to let our vision lead. Because you didn't come here to play it safe. You didn't come here to shrink or doubt yourself or live under that weight of your old stories. You came here to stretch into that version of you who already knows. She already freaking knows. And she's leading and she's trusting and she knows. Doubt is simply the fire that forages her, okay? Doubt, we're going to use self-doubt as this empowering fuel to push us into our next level, to push us through that fear, to push us into action. So we're going to let it come, we're going to let it burn, and we're going to walk straight through it. So to wrap this episode up in a beautiful bow, I hope it really lit a bit of a spark inside you. If something did click, if a voice, got a little quieter and your truth got a little louder, please DM me, Portal, on Instagram at fallonmichaela.co, and I'm going to send you through a free 7-day, what I'm calling the Aligned as Fuck Morning series, voice notes. Because if my energy is resonating with you, I would love to share this gift with you to continue that energy exchange. It's like a sweet little treat to keep you in these vibes. If you think of it as like your daily dose of that energy and identity activation, they're short and they're potent, but really designed to keep you moving because doubt will creep in. But the only way to quiet our doubt is to move towards the vision and not towards the voice. So if you are feeling that pull to go deeper, amazing, and you want to rise with some more support, you can always jump in my DMs at fallonmichaela.co. Shoot me the message like mentor, and we can hop on a call and we can share, I'll share some more juicy details with you and really help you decide if mentorship is the right move for you. And as always, such a pleasure having you here. I love this stuff so much. I could talk about it for hours. If this episode did speak to you, if it shifted something inside or gave you that inner yes, please share it, subscribe, send it to a friend who really needs this energy, because that is exactly why I'm here. And would love for you not to be a stranger. I really do love hearing from you. So seriously, jump into my DMs, shoot me a message, come hang out with me on Instagram. I love connecting with others. And thank you again so much for tuning in, sharing your own energy with me. And I will see you next week on episode number 7. Bye for now.